Welcome to the top 5 creepiest Polaroids ever caught on camera. Many of the names and dates in this video have been changed to protect the identity of those involved. Number 1. Children being poisoned through Halloween candy is generally thought of as an urban legend, but in 1974, in Corpus Christi, it was reality. A father laced his son's Pixy Stix with cyanide with the intent to kill him so he could collect on an insurance policy. The father, Ronald Clark O'Bryan, had fallen deeply into debt. He purchased potassium cyanide, sprinkled it inside 5 Pixy straws, crudely stapled them all shut, and handed them out to his son, daughter, and 3 other neighborhood children. To avoid suspicion, his plot was to kill all of them and blame the neighbor. After trick-or-treating, O'Brien's 11-year-old son Timothy swallowed the Pixy Stick powder and complained that it tasted bitter. He soon began vomiting uncontrollably and was dead before reaching the hospital. O'Brien was found guilty of murder and died via lethal injection. This photo was taken on Halloween night 1974. It is the last known photo of O'Brien's 11-year-old son when he was still alive. Number 2. This more recent Polaroid comes from the late 1990s when avid backpacker Jonathan Torres set out on what ended up being his very last backpacking trip. Friends and family recall he camped alone off and on throughout nearly all of his adult life without any problems. A mid-spring day set him off on a section of 43-mile Mount Hood National Forest Trail in Oregon. While usually a well-traveled and camped trail, this early in the hiking season it saw little use due to cold nighttime temperatures. After 24 hours past his estimated return, friends and family grew worried and began grouping a search party. The following day, rangers from the National Park Service located Jonathan's campsite and backpacking gear all in place, as well as his Polaroid camera and this photo. To this day, he still remains missing. The most haunting aspect of this photo is that it's taken of John from across the campsite when he was camping and backpacking alone. Number 3. Sister Teresa Blackwell was a nun who taught English and drama at former all-girls Archbishop Lowry High School in Bowie, Maryland. On November the 7th, 1966, Blackwell disappeared. Her body was discovered on January 3, 1970, near a garbage dump in Lansdowne, Maryland. Upon the closure of the Catholic high school she worked at in 2004, both of these Polaroids were discovered in the school archives room in a file marked with her initials. Authorities have yet to draw connections to past school employees potentially involved in her murder, as little employment documentation remains after the floods of 1996 destroyed most of the ground floor. Her murder remains unsolved. Number 4. This Polaroid was taken in the mid-1980s of a recreational photographer, Henry Avail, as he snapped a few photos of what appears to be a very creepy abandoned property. The photo you are viewing is the last photo ever taken of Henry and was taken by his mother from a roadside turnout that they parked at. Although otherwise advised by his mother, Henry decided to enter the dilapidated home, which was clearly in a state of disrepair. Barely making it inside the front door, the building collapsed, leaving Henry trapped in the rubble. Many hours later, rescue workers found his body beneath the fallen house. He was still clutching his Nikon SP 35mm camera. Many of you are already familiar with the serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer, also known as the Milwaukee Cannibal and the American Serial Killer. He was a sex offender and serial killer who raped, murdered, and dismembered 17 men and boys between 1978 and 1991. He loved to take Polaroids of his victims in strange poses after he killed them. These bodies and the body parts he stored in his refrigerator for later consumption were his trophies. After he was convicted, Dahmer was beaten to death in prison by fellow inmates.